I signed the papers at 11:42 a.m. on May 18th in a lawyer's office next to a dry cleaner in Arlington. The room smelled like old carpet and weak coffee. My son sat across from me, tapping his phone. His wife didn't come. She sent a voice note saying she trusted his judgment. The paper said I was formally renouncing rights to all assets tied to my late husband's estate. The wording was cold. Legal. They used terms like streamlining transfer of title. What it meant, I gave up everything, our house, his stocks, the land in Tennessee. Austin told me it was temporary. Just for now, Mom, he said. You're overseas anyway. Let me build some credibility here. I didn't ask why he needed credibility with my husband's name, not his own. The lawyer, Mr. Kent, adjusted his glasses, looked at me for 3 seconds longer than he needed to. I think he wanted to say something. Instead, he slid the final page toward me and said, "Take your time." But my hand was already moving. One stroke, then another. Done. You ever do something generous, then realize they just wanted you out of the way? On the way out, I ran into Trisha, my friend from church. She saw the folder in my hand and asked, "You're really going through with it?" I nodded. She exhaled. "Just make sure you keep one copy. Don't count on them to remember." I didn't answer. I should have known. I should have asked more questions. Not because I thought he'd lie, but because I'd been taught not to question family. And that's how they get you through words like family trust support. But if it's family, why's the first thing they ask for a signature? I got in the lift, looked down at my hands. They were shaking. I felt stupid. Not angry, just ashamed I hadn't noticed the signs sooner. The calls only when they needed something. The way she'd never called me Mom. The way he always said, "It's not that big of a deal." It's always not a big deal until you realize you're the one being erased. I folded the signed copy into my bag and zipped it shut. At 5:10 p.m. that same day, I booked a one-way flight to Lisbon. I didn't tell them. Just clicked, confirm. I figured they'd call. They didn't. But someone else did. At 2:08 a.m. Lisbon time, my phone rang. I was half asleep, jet-lagged, sitting on the edge of a new IKEA bed I hadn't finished assembling. Austin's name flashed on the screen. No message, just a call. I picked up. His voice was slurred, loud music in the background. "Mom, we did it. I did it. Everyone's saying it's just next level." I rubbed my temple. "Where are you?" "In your, my place now, right?" He laughed. "We're having a toast." Preston brought champagne, not that cheap stuff. $175 a bottle. Legacy families know how to celebrate, huh? I didn't respond. Just listened. He kept going. Said Preston had vision. Said his new father-in-law had connections. Said these people, they see potential in me. Unlike, some others. I sat still. He didn't hear the silence. Or maybe he did, and filled it on purpose. I could hear the clink of crystal. He was using my old glassware, the Waterford set my husband bought for our 40th anniversary. I knew the sound. "We only took it out once a year." "You're lucky, Mom," he said suddenly. "You get to relax now. They're taking care of everything. Like real family does." Real family. I almost asked if it's real family. Why'd you need mine to fund it? But I didn't say that. I just held the phone to my ear and stared at the wall. The paint was still wet from the coat I'd rolled on that morning. "You okay, Mom?" he added at the end. "You sound weird." Weird. That's what it's called when you're trying not to cry at 2 a.m. in a country where no one knows you. The next morning, I told Inez, the older woman who managed the apartment next door. She raised one brow and said, "He sounds expensive." I smiled, but it sat wrong in my chest. I hated that I knew this would happen, and I hated more that I'd ignored the signs. He laughed. I listened. Then I opened notes and wrote it all down, just in case. Because if they're so wealthy now, why does my name keep coming up at 8:22 a.m.? On May 21st, My phone buzzed with a motion alert from the doorbell camera. I tapped it without thinking. The screen opened to a wide shot of my front porch in Virginia. No, their porch now. I had to start getting that right. Preston was carrying in a wine rack. His wife followed behind him with a giant canvas painting, something abstract, beige with gold streaks. Austin held the door open for them like a valet. "Welcome home," he said, loud and clear. "This is your house now, too. We're real family. Real family." That phrase again. I looked closer. My floral pillow was still on the couch behind them. They hadn't even moved it. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink. I hit download, saved the footage, named it Porch Arrival. That's what I do now, name things, save things. Not because I'm trying to trap anyone. Because I've learned if you don't write down the truth, someone else will rewrite it. Later that afternoon, I told my friend Teresa from church. She's the one who helped me ship my things overseas. Her mouth tightened. "You sure you don't want to call him?" I shook my head. She said, "All right, just don't wait too long if you plan to speak up. But here's the thing. If I were just a mother, maybe I'd call. But if they're making decisions with my house, my name, my money, and I'm still supposed to sit still, what exactly is my role supposed to be? An ATM with old photos. And if I'm so irrelevant, why keep using what's mine?" It hit me. Then I'd ignored the moment. Preston first corrected me at dinner 6 months ago. I had asked if they were thinking of renting, and he said, "Eventually we'll own we're not renters, ma'am." Austin laughed like it was charming. I should have said something back then, but I didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to be that mom, the clingy one, the overstepping one. That night, I opened a new folder on my laptop. I named it, In Case I Forget. And in the next alert that came in, there was something even worse. At 4:11 p.m. on June 3rd, I got an email from Union Valley Mortgage with the subject line, "Confirmation Required. Co-signer status." I thought it was spam. Then I read the body, "Hi, Mrs. Halperin, just confirming you're still co-signer on the refinance for 72 Cherrybrook Lane closing is scheduled for Monday. Appreciate your quick response." That address was my old house. My name shouldn't be on anything anymore. I clicked reply, typed one line. "I am not involved in any refinance. Please send documents." Then I sat there, hands stiff over the keyboard, staring at my reflection in the black screen. They sent back a PDF within the hour. Page 4 had my digital signature, one I remembered from 2019 when Austin needed help to restructure the second mortgage. I had signed via DocuSign. They'd reused that file, added new language, updated the amount $648,000. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I took a screenshot, saved the doc once on my desktop. Once on a USB I kept in the back of a kitchen drawer. I told Helena, the woman who sells bread downstairs. She didn't blink, just said, "Family steals better than strangers. They know where you keep things." If Austin had just asked, I probably would have helped, but instead, he assumed I'd keep playing along, that I'd see it as normal. But let me ask this: if you're so grown, why are you still using your mother's name? I wanted to believe it was a mistake, that maybe he didn't know Preston submitted the file. But then I remembered a phone call in March. He said, "Don't worry, Mom, I still have those forms from before, just in case we need to act fast." I'd laughed back then, thought it was a joke. Now I felt sick. Not just at him, but at myself for making it that easy. I didn't call him. I didn't write. I forwarded the file to someone else with one sentence. "Is this enough to escalate?" The reply came 10 minutes later, but the knock on the door came first. On June 5th, I stepped into the elevator with a woman I'd seen before. Short gray bob, always carried her groceries in a cloth bag that said, "Porto, 1994. We hadn't spoken until then, but this time, as the doors closed, She looked straight at me and said, "They tried that with my aunt, too." I didn't ask what that was. She glanced down at the envelope in my hand, still holding the refinance documents I was about to send to the lawyer, and added, "They used her name. Signed her out of her own flat. Her son said it was just for the paperwork." Her accent was clipped formal. Lisbon-born, I guessed. We rode to the 6th floor in silence. At her door, she turned back and said, "If you want someone discreet, I have a name. No websites. Just shows up." 2 hours later, I met her contact Miguel at a cafe near Praça do Comércio. No briefcase, just a notepad and a pen. I handed him a printout of the deed from 2001. He didn't blink. "They banked on you not checking," he said. "They always do." That stung, because it was true. I had trusted the process too much. I didn't double-check the revocation clause. I didn't think they'd go this far. And it made me wonder if family needs my silence to succeed. Is that still family? Or is it just people hoping I stay useful and quiet? I told Miguel I didn't want a lawsuit. I just wanted to know what still had my name on it and what didn't. He nodded, wrote something, and said, "We'll start with land registry. Then we look at any title changes in the last 12 months. I paused. 12 months. That covered a lot more than I was ready to admit. Back home, I opened the drawer where I kept birthday cards from Austin. The last one was from 3 years ago. Generic. No handwriting. Just a printed, "Love you, Mom." I'd saved it anyway. I printed the deed, folded it once, slid it into a red envelope I'd brought from the States. I didn't seal it yet because someone else had started slipping. June 9th, 7:36 p.m. I was halfway through reheating leftover bacalao when my phone buzzed with a notification. Bailey is live. 14 viewers. Bailey is my niece, the one who live streams everything: birthdays, baby showers, even Sunday pasta night. I tapped it out of boredom. It was a wide shot of a long dining table. My table. The one Austin said was too big for a single widow. Preston was at the head, wine in hand. Austin sat to his right, laughing too loud. They didn't know the mic was still hot. It was all ours anyway. Austin said, tearing bread. She was just holding it and keeping her out of it. Honestly, that was for her own good. She gets overwhelmed. I stood there holding a spoon in midair. My niece panned the camera back to her baby and added a flower filter as if nothing had just been said. I scrubbed back 30 seconds, screen recorded, saved. Then I paused, rewatched it, wrote down the timestamp, rewatched again. Preston smirked, said something like, "You've got control, now use it." Then he reached for the wine, same one that cost $46 a bottle at Trader Joe's, only now on a white tablecloth I embroidered for Christmas '99. I called Inez, trying to keep my voice steady. "You ever hear someone rewrite the past while sitting at your table?" She just said, "You recording yet?" I said yes. And honestly, I wanted to believe Austin didn't mean it. But how do you accidentally say she owed us the estate? If I owed anyone, why did I pay the mortgage alone for 23 years? And if I'm so unstable, why did they use my name for a 6-figure loan? I felt my stomach drop. Not because it was new, but because it was confirmation. I should have spoken up earlier when they started moving furniture without asking, when the family chat got quiet the day after I flew out, when no one asked for my new address. I sent the clip to Miguel and waited. The reply didn't come through text. It came through a file. June 12th, 10:15 a.m. Terminal 1 at Lisbon Airport. Miguel slid into the seat across from me at the Delta Cafe near Gate 42, carrying nothing but a plain manila folder and an espresso. No tie, no briefcase. Just a folded page tucked into the side of a paperback. He handed me the folder under the table like we were trading secrets. In a way, we were. He opened the folder, pointed to one sentence highlighted in blue. Clause 14. 3, he said. You didn't sign away full ownership. You renounced access to liquid disbursements. That's not the same as title. I stared at it. The language was slippery, something about temporal waivers and trust oversight. But the bottom line was clear. I was still legally attached to the property. My name wasn't gone. It had just been pushed down. Miguel took a sip, then looked at me and said, "You're not crazy." I didn't know what hit harder, relief or shame for needing someone else to confirm I wasn't losing it. I'd gone from owning the deed to second-guessing my memory, all because no one corrected the lie. They just let it sit. And for what? If they truly had everything figured out, why hide it? I asked Miguel. If I revoke that waiver, does it hold? He nodded. But you'll want to act before anything gets moved or sold. Technically, you could freeze things today. That word freeze felt colder than the coffee I never touched. Later that day, I told Teresa over the phone. She went quiet, then said, "You gonna tell them first?" I paused. Then said, "Did they tell me first when they used my name?" She laughed, short-tired. So, no, I won't lie. A part of me felt sick. Because if I went through with this, it wouldn't just freeze property, it could freeze birthdays, dinners, phone calls. I might lose my grandson for good, but I also knew this: if silence keeps things calm, whose calm is it really serving? I booked the return flight. One way, departing July 2nd, 6:05 a.m. I didn't tell anyone I was coming back, but I knew exactly where I was landing. I landed back in Virginia on July 2nd at 2:12 p.m. Dulles Airport. No one was there. No surprise. I took a Lyft to a Holiday Inn near Route 29, $138 a night. Not bad. I checked in under my maiden name. That evening, around 9:40 p.m., I walked down Cherrybrook Lane. Lights were on in the living room, but the driveway was empty. Preston's silver Audi was gone. So was Lena's BMW. Likely some gala or fundraiser. Austin's car was there, though parked crooked, like always. I still had a spare key. No alarm code had changed. I entered through the side door, the one near the kitchen. Smelled like expensive candles and something burnt. I didn't linger. I moved fast, quiet. The master bedroom was locked. Deadbolt. New. But the study unlocked. Same desk, different chair. The new one was leather cost, maybe $400. I sat. Opened the drawer. Nothing. Second drawer, bingo. Printed loan drafts. Some signed, some not. Preston's initials everywhere. A handwritten note, need mom's signature before July 15th, or bank might flag. Underlined twice. Below that, a yellow posted after title shift move $120,000 from renovation fund to PJ's office. Preston's initials again. I took photos. Each one. No flash. Just steady hands and a phone on silent. There was a voice memo folder on the desktop. I transferred it to my USB. One clip started with, "So she's technically off paper, but the name still works." I stopped listening. Didn't need more. That's when guilt crept in. Not for being there, but for how long I let it all slide. I'd seen signs. The way they paused when I entered rooms. The time Preston said my property, then corrected himself. The way Austin hadn't called my grandson by his nickname since I left. I should have fought back earlier, but I didn't want to be seen as the bitter mother, the one who clings. But now I wonder what kind of mother lets herself be erased quietly. I left the house exactly as I found it, except for one drawer. That one I left open on purpose. July 4th, 6:26 a.m. I sat in a corner booth at the Panera off Route 50, coffee going lukewarm. The parking lot was half empty. I opened my laptop, pulled up the folder I'd named If They Lie, and clicked through each file. The refinance draft, the transfer notes, the voice memo, the clip from the cousin's live stream, all of it. Then I typed 3 names in the to field, Marcus Holloway, property lawyer. Tasha Lynn, title examiner. Sean Weller, regional branch VP First Bank of Virginia. People who didn't care about family drama. People who knew paper and numbers. I didn't rant. I didn't accuse. I wrote one sentence. Could you please help confirm the legal status and history of these transactions against the deed timeline attached? The subject line was simple. Assets held. Status requested. I hit send. My son didn't reply. Not even a "what is this?" Not even a call pretending to be confused. That kind of silence has its own weight, like someone trying to figure out how much you already know. Tasha called me an hour later. She sounded alert, clipped. I can't tell you everything yet, but something's off. A few records don't match the official sequence. I asked if she needed more documents. She said no. I need whoever filed these to start answering questions. I stared at my phone after the call, and for a second, I hoped maybe I misunderstood everything. Maybe I overreacted. Then I remembered the drawer he left open. The sticky note. The way he used my name like a tool. If he could afford it, why borrow under my history? If it was really his house, why hide the paperwork Marcus called later that afternoon? All he said was, "Want to meet Monday. Quiet office." No pressure. I said yes. After I hung up, I sat there with my hand on the table trying to stop the shaking. Not from fear, but from something older. I kept thinking of my grandson. Would he remember me as the woman they erased? I picked up the coffee cup. Still warm. Next step would cost more than comfort. October 9th, 8:14 p.m. I was wiping down the counter when the phone rang. U.S. number. I let it buzz twice before picking up. His voice came fast, clipped, like someone out of breath. "Mom? Why are you doing this?" I didn't answer right away. I looked out the window. Lisbon was quiet. A couple walked past, laughing in low voices. Then I asked it, "If they're making you a billionaire, why do you still need my name?" He didn't speak. I let the silence stretch. He thought I'd threaten him, or cry, or beg to understand. Instead, I told him one thing. Calm, even I've updated the title. You'll be hearing from the firm. He finally spoke. You don't understand the position you're putting me in. That made me laugh. Soft, not cruel, just tired. No, son, I finally do. He kept talking after that. About perception, about how deals were in motion, how I was blowing things out of proportion. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I'd already sent the paperwork, the house, the lien, the clause they forgot I kept. All of it moving now, without my name on the loan. Marcus had said earlier that day, "You won't need to say much. Just be ready when they call." He was right. I thought of the crystal glass I saw in the background of that late-night FaceTime, my 40th anniversary set. Still on their shelf. That stung more than the loan papers. Maybe that's what caught me off guard. That I'd given so much, and still they wanted it without the face attached. I didn't scream. I didn't explain the history of that house or how many nights I'd folded laundry in that hallway. I just said one sentence. If this was all yours anyway, you won't miss me stepping back. He tried again. So that's it. I didn't answer. I hung up, then made coffee in the mug he left behind.